Hi everybody, it's Nat from the Art of Intuition. Today we're going to talk about the fear of repeating a cycle. And it goes without saying it is a karmic cycle. We will have different phases. We have an awakening process and then we have an ascension process. Normally we have a fairly human traumatic event to get us through our awakening process where we start opening up to higher consciousness, and then we have an ascension process where we go through ascending our consciousness. So they're two separate stages, right? A lot of people will say, oh, I did that already, but you did that during your awakening, not your ascension. But what can happen, especially if we had a certain thing, a pattern we kept repeating, even when we're going through our ascension process, we still can be clearing programming, human programming, even after we've ascended our body, we can still have human programming, be clearing human programming from our DNA. So there will be certain things everyone's going to have that they don't want any part of in any part of the process. And for a while, your universe might take it away. Like if you were not good with, if you didn't value money, and you wasted a lot of money, usually you won't get any money for a long period of time because you don't know what to do with it. So we're going to make you value money. If you were always in a relationship and you kind of lost yourself in a relationship or really overcompensated, never had a balanced relationship, a lot of times you won't have any. But you'll find after a lot of this stuff has been removed for a while, you don't want anything to do with this stuff when it comes back in. Like if you never could handle having a credit card because you would just spend too much on a credit card. When you get presented back with a credit card again, you don't want anything to do with it. If you haven't had a relationship in a while, and every time you got in a relationship, it ended poorly, or you got all wrapped up in it, and it was karmic and entangled, and it was just a mess every time, you won't want anything to do with it. Certain places you used to work, you might say, oh, I don't want to go back there again. I don't want anything to do with that type of thing again. And we really have to look here to see what's the fear about what it is. Because we technically are not going to do something the same way that we did in our awakening process. We have a fear we're going to repeat it and do it the same way. We can't really do it the same way because once you've started ascending your consciousness, you're in a different frequency, a different vibration. You won't really even attract the same people. There might be a sense you might go back to something and say, oh, I really don't need to do this anymore. I had to go back and see, do I need to participate in this reality? And okay, now I don't need to. Sometimes you might decide you want to, but you won't be doing it from the same frequency. But a lot of times we'll put a limit on what we'll do because we're so afraid we're going to do it the same way again. It's like that Britney Spears song, oops, I did it again. We're so afraid we're going to do it again. And even during part of our ascension process, we probably did a lot of that stuff again. We might have kept repeating the same thing. So we get to a point where we're like, oh, I don't even really trust myself anymore with this. So look at what you've kind of put a limit on, or what you kind of close down when you even hear it mentioned, because you're like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see those people again. I don't want anything to do with it again. Because unless we've resolved the whole timeline, we're going to still be repeating some of it, even past ascension if we haven't resolved it yet. There might be something we have to go back and look at to either show us we don't need it, we've gotten to a consciousness that doesn't require those experiences anymore, but if we're running from them or closing down, a lot of people call them a portal, we're kind of closing the portal down, we don't even want to see it. Might be a couple years for you to actually see it again. Sometimes the portals are opportunities too. Usually portals are always opportunities for something. We can choose to not do it and say, okay, I'll wait, and I'll wait a couple months and see, or a couple years, this thing might come around again. But make sure you're not doing it because of something you did before, because you can't really do it wrong. And it's presenting again for a reason. And you gotta see, what did you want out of it before? Do you want the same thing out of it again? Does it have a purpose now? You'll find when you get in these soul aligned realities, if things don't have a purpose anymore, and a purpose can be clearing programming. So you can find a purpose in something, someone else might look at it and say, I don't see the purpose in it. If you can find a purpose in it, it might be worth your energy to do it. But only you're going to know that. So look at what you're not doing, look at what you're afraid to do, and keep practicing the art of intuition.